What is going on, baseball fans? Hello, hello. Let's rank all of the World Series since 2000. Let's get to it. And hello, baseball fans. Hello, hello. Around 30 people in the chat to start things off. What is going on, everyone? How are we doing? A lot of familiar faces. Hello, Big Tex. Blessed Brian, 20 Legend, one of our members. Hello. Nicholas, one of our moderators. Hello. Evil Otto. Hello. Colin Croft, what's going on? How are we doing? Jackson is here. Chuck is here. What's going on? David Robert. Cade Poole. Alrighty, JR, Wesley, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Hey, we're just trying to get through this lockout any way we can. And you know, I put up a poll today. I wanted to do some Tiermaker tonight. I'm working on some content. I was just wrapping up a video that I'm working on right now. But I said, hey, you know, we got to go live tonight. We got to keep going live even during the lockout. So, hey, I put a poll up today. I put 3 choices for all of you. We got around 650 votes in the last, I think I put it up around 2 o'clock today. So, hey, 650 votes, I'll take it. But you all voted to rank all of the World Series since 2000. So I will be using Tiermaker for that. It's not really going to be a 1 through, how many World Series have we had now? 21 World Series, 22? I think I'm doing the math right. I don't know. I can't do math in my head. But I'm not going to put them, 1 through whatever. I'm putting them, in tiers. So the S tier, the A tier, B tier, and so on. So, hey, a fun little stream, a change of pace. There's not really anything news-wise. There's nothing rumors-wise to talk about tonight. So Tiermaker is going to be a friend of ours for the foreseeable future. So, but before I do get started, that's not the right one. That's not the right one. Oh my goodness. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20K by opening day. Traffic is a little slow over here, especially during this lockout. But hey, what can you do? But we're still trying to push towards 20K subscribers. Hit that like button from everyone. That's really going to help us. Hey, hit the bell notification as well. Share the stream if you can. But let's get to it, everyone. I am going to just jump right over here. Let's get the music started. Let's get the mood set. Here we go. Alrighty. So again, just showing you. We did have the poll, like I mentioned. I gave you 3 choices. I asked all of you if you would like me to rank the last 20 free agent classes. Some of you were actually pretty interested in that, 32% of you. And then obviously the winner, every World Series since 2000, that won with 46% of the vote. And I also asked if you wanted me to rank the last 20 World Series champions. So this is the winner for tonight. So, hey, be on the lookout for polls. Always go on to the community tab. I always post on here. I'm always asking you all questions. I'm always asking what you guys think. So this was the winner for tonight. So, like I said, we're going to be using Tiermaker. We got 5 tiers. We got all of these World Series here. We're going to start at the 2000 World Series, and we're going to make our way back all the way to the 2021 World Series. So, alrighty, we're up to around, 50 people in the chat now? Cool beans. Let's get it going here. All the way back to 2000 we go. Baseball Reference will be a good friend of ours here. I'm going to be honest, a lot of this I'm kind of going on the fly here. I don't really have any predetermined ranking for any of these. I think I have a few in my head where I already know are going to go on the top. But hey, this is kind of a trip down memory lane for a lot of this here. The 2000 World Series. I was 10 years old at the time. The Yankees and the Mets. This was not really. I think the appeal of the New York World Series was kind of what people remember this World Series by. There were, a lot of memories in this one. The Yankees, this was in the middle. Actually, this was the last World Series that they had won all the way until 2009. We'll get back to that one. But this was kind of the end of that dynasty. They had won in 98, they won in 99, and they won in 2000. This was actually a pretty weak Yankee team. If we actually go take a look at this team, overall, they only finished with 87 wins, 74 losses. They did win the East, but not a strong Yankee team. You did have some memorable players. Obviously, Jorge Posada was actually their best player that year, according to wins above replacement. Bernie Williams, Derek Jeter. They had Roger Clemens as well. Don't forget they traded for Roger Clemens back in 1999. So Andy Pettitte, a very good team. Look at these names: Scott Brocious, Paul O'Neill. These are some Yankees. Chuck Knobloch. Hey, remember Chuck Knobloch ended up he couldn't throw to first base at one point, but Chuck Knobloch was a really good on-base guy. He was very, very good. Tino Martinez, remember him? So, hey, very good Yankee team, obviously. This was kind of I wouldn't say the end of their dynasty. They did make it back to the World Series the next year, but this was the last World Series that they won since 2009. And we also had the Mets. We had the New York Mets taking a look here. But hey, Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Mets that year. Hey, good team, 94-68, winning the wild card. So they were the wild card winner. Hey, some memorable players as well. Who remembers Edgardo Alfonso? Sorry, that was hard for me to say. Mike Hampton. Remember how he was bad with the Rockies, but then they ended up getting him. Or he don't forget he was with the Mets at one point. But we had, Mike Piazza had a good year that year. Al Leiter. Remembers Rick Reed. God, I haven't seen that name in a long time. Armando Benitez. Man, oh man. I remember when he was with the Marlins. But I remember his Glendon Rush. I remember him on MVP Baseball. Good grief. Jay Payton. He was a Red Sox at one point. So yeah, when you're taking a look at this Mets team, they were a pretty decent team that year. And, Bobby Valentine, who remembers the Bobby Valentine mustache? That was always fun. But let's go take a look back at these games. So, this was an easy series win for the Yankees. There was nothing really, crazy here. Yankees jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the series. Roger Clemens getting the win in Game 2. Mike Stanton getting the win in Game 1. That actually went 12 innings. Let's go take a look at that game, actually. Again, I don't fully remember this. This was one I remember not. I remember this World Series was happening as a kid, but I didn't really watch the games. I remember watching the Yankees win. So that was one thing. But in this game, if we take a look at the scoring, again, went 12 innings. So the top 5 plays here, obviously the most important play was the Jose Vizcaino, the base hit, ended up winning the game that won the game for the Yankees, right? Yeah, so that won the game for the Yankees. That was a walk-off. Also, bottom of the 12th. That Jorge Posada had the double, to get get the runners over. So, hey, 12th inning there, Yankees winning it. After that though, it just seemed like there wasn't really much else going on in the series. That was a good, energetic way to start the game. You had some close games. 6-5 win here, 4-2 win there for the Mets. They were able to get back on the board. But the Yankees, it was just too good of a team. The bullpen was really good for the Yankees that year. Taking a look back at this bullpen, obviously you had Mariano Rivera, very good that year. Guys like Jeff Nelson on that team, they really stepped it up in the postseason. So overall, this was not a great World Series, just because, only went 5 games, but you had the appeal of the fact that it was the Subway Series. So, and obviously it was the 3rd straight World Series win for the Yankees. So I'll give it a C overall. I'll go C, just because that was the 3rd straight World Series win for the Yankees. It had the appeal of New York, all New York teams. It just wasn't, I don't know, you could maybe argue maybe even a B just because there were close games there. And it did have a walk-off extra inning game in game 1. So I'll go C for that one overall. Let's move on. 2001. I honestly think this is one of the best World Series of all time. I'm actually just going to go ahead and put this in the S tier now. The 2001 World Series was phenomenal and absolutely just jam-packed all the way around. It was such a good World Series. I always remember Game 7. I remember watching that. That was just that was probably one of the best Game 7s you'll see in sports. It was just a nail-biter of a game. What a pitching matchup that it was. Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling. What was so cool about that was Curt Schilling really looked up to Roger Clemens, and then he was going toe-to-toe with him in Game 7 of the World Series. You had the classic walk-off with Luis Gonzalez off of Mariano Rivera. I mean, what a Game 7 this was. Absolutely insane. Alfonso Soriano getting the home run off of Curt Schilling there later in the game to give the Yankees the lead in the 8th inning. Just an absolutely incredible World Series. What a Game 7 this was. But there was a lot more to this overall. Don't forget, Randy Johnson was out of his mind in this World Series. Curt Schilling, Randy Johnson getting co-MVPs in this series. Byung-Hyun Kim just really struggling. I mean, Derek Jeter just doing his thing. I mean, come on, Mr. November, Derek Jeter. Just incredible. Like extra inning wins, in games 4 and 5 for the Yankees. I don't know, man. This to me, I honestly think you could make an argument. This is the best World Series of all time. I know a lot of people will, say Cubs, Indians. You had that Giants Royals one, back in the mid 2010s. There was some really good World Series, but this one was fantastic. This was just so good. To me, you just had so many just memories in this. Taking a look back also, let me go to the stats here. Or am I looking at the Game 7? I'm looking at Game 7. So let's go back to the series summary. Let's go to the top performers here. For the Diamondbacks, taking a look here at the Diamondbacks. Taking a look, Luis Gonzalez had an incredible series, over an 1100 OPS. Look at Reggie Sanders in this series, hitting 304. I mean, man, just a lot of guys stepping up. And this was the Diamondbacks' first ever World Series. You got to remember, they were a new team in 1998. So to win a World Series 3 years later, that's incredible. So, hey, oh, we got a super chat. What's going on here? Jesus Rodriguez says, thank you for doing this and keep on doing this. Jesus, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you coming out tonight. So, yeah, let's go to the Yankees. Who are some top performers for the Yankees? Bernie Williams, always a pest. I mean, he had a 917 OPS. But, am I looking at I'm looking at the regular season. Whoops-a-daisies. I'm not looking at the playoff stats. There we go. Here we go. So, sorry, let me go back to the Diamondbacks here. Steve Finley was really good in this series. He went 7 for 19. Durazo was 4 for 11. Luis Gonzalez, he did hit really good in this series. Had a, 259 batting average. But he had the walk-off hit off of Mariano Rivera. So, overall, just a lot of guys stepping up. Taking a look at the Yankees. Let's take a look at those Yankees. Who are the top performers here? Paul O'Neill. 5 games, 15 at-bats, had 5 hits. Pretty decent if you ask me. Let me actually go to batting averages. Not a lot of batting, pretty low batting averages for the Yankees, but they came through with clutch hits when it mattered most. So, especially off of Byung-Hyun Kim. Let me actually go to those pitching stats. The Byung-Hyun Kim, what was his ERA in this series? A 13.50, 3.1 innings pitched. I believe he blew 2 games. 2 or 3 games, I think he gave up a walk-off. But Randy Johnson, let's take a look at Randy Johnson. He was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Randy Johnson, where are you at? I mean, good grief. He had a 1.04 ERA over 3 games. Don't forget, Randy Johnson came in relief after a start that he made. I think it was the next game. I think he made a start, pitched awesome, and then he came in, I think it was Game 7. That's right. Curt Schilling, incredible. These 2 guys were 2 legendary series performances for these guys. They both deserve the MVP. I'm glad they each got an MVP. So awesome World Series. Love it. That gets an S tier for me automatically. Let's go to the 2002 World Series. I mean, hey, every time I think of 2002 with the World Series, I think of Barry Bonds just hitting an absolute moonshot in that series. Incredible. You know, you always wonder with Barry Bonds, you know, what if he had won a World Series? What if they won this one? You know, where would you... Because a lot of people, that's one thing they say about Barry Bonds. Obviously, with the numbers he put up, I mean, incredible. You could... The best of all time, in my opinion, steroids or not. But the San Francisco Giants, just... It's always going to be a big what if for this team. So, overall, it was a really good series. You know, hey, games 1 and 2, close games overall. Taking a look back at game 1, the Giants having some good pitching here. I believe, Jason Schmidt got the win. Pitched a pretty good game overall. Did give up 9 hits, but he was able to work around a lot of stuff. And in the end, you know, who remembers Rob Nen? Rob Nen. Who remembers that? Man, he was so good on MVP baseball. And then Jared Washburn actually got the loss. So not the greatest starts from those guys, but in the end, Jason Schmidt did do enough to get the win. So in this game, the scoring, oh man, look at that. Kenny Lofton, starting lineup, hitting leadoff. So the most important plays, taking a look here. So that's right. Yeah, Troy Gloss. I remember Troy Gloss, man. Just hitting bangers all over the place. Barry Bonds. Actually, how did Barry Bonds do in this series? How did Barry Bonds do? What did he hit? Where is he? He hit 471 in this series. 471. He hit 4 home runs. Holy cow. He would have been the easy MVP. He had 13 walks and 17. He had 17 at bats, but he had 13 walks. That's insane. He had 8 hits. Good grief. These numbers are nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, overall, in the end, let's go to game 7. Let's go to game 7 here. Oh, that's not the right way. Game 7. I always remember Troy Percival closing it out. This was another, hey, Dusty Baker was the manager here for the Giants. And Dusty Baker was always that one manager. He's gotten to many World Series, many playoff appearances, just never got it done. And John Lackey was awesome in this game. I remember that. John Lackey here at 5 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, and then they turned to the bullpen. Troy Percival was really good that year. Shutdown guy, one of the best closers in baseball that year. So this is a good World Series, I would say, overall. The Giants, they were close games, very close games. I think you could easily say this was one of the best World Series of all time. You had the Rally Monkey. Who remembers the Rally Monkey? I'll go S tier for this one, 2001, 2002. We were spoiled with back-to-back incredible World Series. I would say 2001 gets the edge for this. But 2002 was an S-tier World Series. Very good. If only the Giants won it. Barry Bonds, he would have had the World Series MVP for sure. Let's go to 2003. This one kind of hits close to home for me because this could have been a Red Sox-Cubs World Series. And in the end, it ended up being the Yankees and the Marlins. And, hey, we all know what happened with Bartman. We all know what happened with Grady Little not taking out Pedro. Who knows? I think we could have easily seen Red Sox Cubs. It was going that way. And then in the end, ended up being the Yankees and the Marlins. But it was still a good World Series. I enjoyed that World Series a lot. I will say, in the beginning of this World Series, I was still in pain over my Red Sox losing in Game 7. Very painful. But the Marlins winning this really helped. And when I saw that the Marlins had, I remember when they tied the series, I remember that's when I kind of started paying attention a little bit. And then that Game 1, I believe, the Marlins had the walk-off in Game 4. That was 12 innings. Who had the hit here? I'm trying to remember. It was Was it Luis Castillo who had the walk-off? No, it was Alex Gonzalez. That's what it was. Yeah, that was the walk-off to left field. It was like just a line shot over the wall. Man, that was awesome. But that's when I kind of really started paying attention. Game 5, the Marlins won it, and then they ended up winning it in Game 6. Josh Beckett in this World Series was out of his mind. The Marlins got incredible pitching. This was a really good Marlins team. This Marlins team, I believe they started off that season 19-31, I believe was their record, and just made it all the way back. And they had an incredible second half, very similar to how the Washington Nationals were in 2019. So let's take a look at some numbers here. Let's pay attention to the Marlins first. For the Marlins with the bat, remember, Jeff Conine here hit .333 in this series. Juan Pierre had 7 hits in this series. Alex Gonzalez was pretty solid. He had the walk-off hit. Ivan Rodriguez. Remember Ivan Rodriguez? That was his last year as a Marlin. Mike Lowell didn't do too much. Derek Lee didn't do too much in this series. But hey, overall though, this Marlins team, they did enough with the bats. Taking a look at the Yankees. Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams, man. This is just one of the best Yankees of all time. This guy always showed up, for the postseason, man. Always. He went 10 for 25 in this series. He easily, I think, would have been the MVP. Had 2 home runs. Derek Jeter was awesome. Nick Johnson hit really well. Kareem Garcia was fine. Hideki Matsui did good. So, taking a look at the pitching, though, this was the story for the Marlins. Josh Beckett became a legend in this series. 1.10 ERA. I mean, good grief. This guy pitched out of his mind. Brad Penny was really good. Carl Bavana was really good. They just had great pitching in this series overall. Dontrelle Willis, he came out of the bullpen in this series. He was really good out of the bullpen. So, overall, I would say I think this was actually a pretty good World Series. I'm going to give it an A. I'll give it an A. 2003 World Series, I'll go A. I think it was, for the Marlins, it's a young team. This is a pretty young team at the time. And, everyone was giving the edge to the Yankees in this series. But this Marlins team, man, they just, you had a couple of big moments in this World Series. Josh Beckett was legendary. I'll go A. I think some of you might even say a B. I'll go A personally. I think maybe I'm a little biased because the Marlins kind of picked my spirits back up, if I were to say, for this one. So, here we go. Let's go to 2004, huh? I'm going to go S tier. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm pretty biased towards this World Series. This was, as a Red Sox fan, I'll always remember the reaction I had. I always remember, I remember exactly where I was standing. I remember exactly what room I was in. I was standing up. I was in my room. I had my hands together. I was kind of praying and also, rubbing my hands kind of back and forth. I will say though, overall, it was not a great World Series when you really look at it. It was not really an entertaining one. I think the story of it was the Red Sox broke the curse. Let me take that back. I don't think that was the story of this. It was a really good Cardinals team. On paper, this was a great World Series. The players that were in this World Series, incredible. Absolutely incredible. But the Red Sox, there was no stopping this team. It was a dominant performance for the Red Sox. In the end, they won 8 straight games. They beat the Yankees. They came back 4-3. I think that was the World Series for a lot of people. The comeback in the American League Championship Series still blows my mind to this day that they were able to come back. It wasn't just that they came back in that series against the Yankees. It was how they did it. I still, it almost isn't real to me. But I would say probably the most entertaining game was probably game 1. It was a back and forth game, offense all around. Mark Bellhorn coming through for the Red Sox in the end. But I think it was more individual things. Game 1, you had moments where guys, really stepped up. Game 2 was all about Curt Schilling with the bloody sock, part 2. Game 3, that was Pedro Martinez's final start as a Boston Red Sox. And then Derek Lowe in game 4, coming up big. He had a bad season that year. And Derek Lowe he really showed up. He was horrible that season in the regular season, but Derek Lowe was awesome in the postseason. This was all about like individual victories for the Red Sox, but most importantly, the biggest team victory in all of Red Sox history, in Game 4. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Keith Foulke was awesome in this playoff run. Overall, though, I don't think this was a good World Series. If you were a casual fan watching this, everyone was watching this to see if the Red Sox would finally break the curse. 86 years, so much torment over the years. But in the end, if you were, if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan, I don't know, let's not use Milwaukee Brewers. I don't know, if you're a Minnesota Twins fan or a White Sox fan, you're kind of looking at this series and, it's kind of whatever. It's a 4-game sweep. There wasn't really much to it except for the curse. That was the story. I'm honestly, overall, I'll go C, maybe. I'll go B. B, C. Oh, this is, I get to pick this one. I would let you guys help me decide. I don't know. I'm a little biased just because I think the story of it was just so, even though it was a 4-game sweep, everyone just remembers how impactful it was. There was so much to it. But I guess if I don't know, I'd probably go B. I don't know, but then I'm going C because it's a 4-game sweep at the end of the day. There was only really one entertaining game. You had some great pitching from Schilling, Pedro, Lowe. Manny Ramirez was awesome in this series, by the way. He won the MVP. He was really good. I'll go B just because of the story, just because you were intrigued. You sat there on the couch and you were into it. You were into it. And I'm not saying that as a Red Sox fan. I'm saying that as a baseball fan. Everyone still kind of remembers this World Series. They overall not an entertaining one, I would say, but you were glued to your screen, or at least most of you. I don't know, but I'll say B. I'll say B. Maybe a little giraffe Nick Robbie here. So I'll go B overall, just because of the story. Now, 2005. This was kind of another one where I'm going to go B as well. I'll be fair. This was another, curse-breaking World Series. It was a 4-game sweep. There wasn't really much to it. It was the White Sox and the Astros. There wasn't really much to it. It was that White Sox team was just incredible. It was incredible. I would say that Astros-Cardinals series was insane. That was a great series. You had the destruction of Brad Lidge at the hands of Albert Pujols. But I think the story of this series was important. The White Sox, they ended their own curse too. Maybe when it came down to it, the Red Sox, they get more attention. The Red Sox, at the end of the day, you had Red Sox Nation. They just got more of that mainstream kind of hype, where the White Sox, not so much. But I'm going to be fair here because I know how important this World Series was for White Sox fans. If you were a fan of the White Sox for years, to me, I'm not going to sit here and say, this was any less of a World Series, than the Red Sox won in 2004, because it was important. 80, how many years? What was it? 87 years since they had won one. So I think that's amazing. This one, I remember my Red Sox got swept by the White Sox. That White Sox team was so good. They had good pitching. I remember Roger Clemens, I believe, had to come out in Game 1. Didn't do very well. Kind of a bust there. And overall, that Astros pitching, they weren't able to show up. You did have a close game in Game 2. Take a look here. The Astros, they were able to tie it. And the White Sox had the walk-off win, so that is pretty exciting in its own right. There was the Scott Podsednik walk-off home run. So, actually, I just had to remember that. I'm like, how did they win? Scott Podsednik had the walk-off homer off of Brad Lidge. That was when Brad Lidge, he was melting down all over the place. But hey, you had a close game there. That's pretty exciting. So you did have a walk-off home run. That's more than what the Red Sox and the Cardinals had. So you could say Mark Bellhorn had the game-winning home run, but it wasn't a walk-off by any means. taking a look at let's go to the stats here. Let's go back to the series summary. There was an extra inning game also in game 3. I forgot about that. Game 3, extra innings. The White Sox, they were able to win it on the road, scoring 2 in the 14th inning. That's insane. How do they do that again? Again, I'm going down memory lane here. I got to kind of remember. Oswalt had a rough start, but he did go 6 innings. Let's go to... Yeah, Houston, early on, they had the edge. I mean, they were definitely, according to the percentages, definitely had the edge in this game. They were projected to win because they came out to a 4-0. They had a 4-0 lead, and the White Sox exploded in the 5th inning. Let's go to that 5th inning. Top of the 5th. Huge inning for the White Sox. Joe Creedy had the home run. Tadhito Iguchi had the base hit to score a run. Jermaine Dye, he was really good in this series. He had the base hit. AJ Przinsky had the 2-run double. Insane. That White Sox team, they were just relentless. And then in the top of the 14th, Jeff Blum had the go-ahead home run. And then Chris Wigger walked. So, yeah. And that was all that was to it. So... overall, I mean, this is you could say maybe even a more entertaining series than the Red Sox and the Cardinals, because you had an extra inning game here, you had a walk-off in game 2, and it was actually a close game in game 4. It was 1-0. It was 1-0. Freddie Garcia pitched out of his mind. So I remember Freddie Garcia. He went 7 innings. I remember that. Freddie Garcia. He was just unhittable that night. He only gave up 4 hits. Bullpen was nuts. Bobby Jenks was so good that year. Brandon Backey, he had a great start. And then Brad Lidge, again, I forgot about that. Brad Lidge was so bad. I got to go back. How did that happen again? Was that Jermaine Dye who had the go-ahead hit? Or had the difference maker? That was the 8th inning. Yeah, it was Jermaine Dye. That was off of Brad Lidge. Yeah, that was the base hit. And that scored Willie Harris. So, yeah, man. I think this is a good series. I'll go B. I know some of you might be thinking, well, I don't know. I had some more entertaining games in 2004. But again, it was that story with the Red Sox. Everyone was glued to their screens. But this 2005 World Series, hey, that White Sox team, that was just such a good team. Such a good team. I'll give it a B, just because of the story as well. If that was any other team where they didn't have that much history riding on it, I would probably go C or even D. But the story in itself. 2006, this one was not a good World Series. You had the Cardinals and the Tigers. It was not good. I remember that was the year, I think there was the whole Pine Tar thing. With Kenny Rogers. Oh, Shane Bentley, $5 super chat. What's going on? Went to the same high school as Willie Harris in good old Cairo, Georgia. Go Syrup Makers. Oh my goodness, what a name. Was that the actual name of the team, Syrup Makers? Oh man, that's pretty cool. Shane Bentley, same high school as Willie Harris, man. That's awesome, man. Man, pretty cool, man. He was a good player. I remember he was just so fast. Here we go. 2006 World Series. It was pretty boring. I remember Justin Verlander was a big thing that year for the Tigers. You had the whole thing with Kenny Rogers. There was the Pine Tar in that championship series. Yeah, man. David Eckstein was a big story. He was kind of like the underdog player. He was the underdog player, and I think David Eckstein pretty underrated in this season. Taking a look at the series stats, there wasn't really a lot of close games either. Game 4 was pretty close. Game 5, Jeff Weaver was pretty good. In that last game, Game 5. The whole thing about the Cardinals this year, they were a bad team. This is one of the worst teams to ever make the World Series, but they stepped up at the right time. They had good players on that team. Chris Carpenter was really good. I believe they had Mark Mulder in this one, right? I think they had Mark Mulder, didn't they? If I remember correctly. Didn't they have him that season? Or he was hurt. That's right. He had shoulder stuff going on. That's what I'm thinking about with that Cardinals team. The Cardinals pitching. Jeff Weaver was really good. Carpenter was good. I remember Anthony Reyes. Wow, I forgot about him. Jeff Suppan. Yeah, because he was there in 2004, and he really showed up in that postseason for them. So don't forget Adam Wainwright. He had the save in Game 7 against the Mets in the championship series. So Cardinals pitching really stepped up. I remember you had the Tigers they relied heavily on Justin Verlander that year. Jeremy Bonderman was young. Nate Robertson was really young for them as well. Kenny Rogers was the veteran guy. But then there was the whole Pine Tar thing. That was a story that year. So overall, I would say this is probably one of the least exciting World Series. There just wasn't really much going on for me. David Eckstein, I think, was the most fun part of it. Actually, what did he hit in this series? Because he got World Series MVP, I believe. Scott Rowland was really good. Didn't he get World Series MVP? I believe he was, right? Yeah, he was a World Series MVP that year. But Rowland was really good. Yadier Molina was really good. Eckstein was good. Those are the top 3 guys by far. Pujols hit a home run, but only hit 200 that series. So I'll go D for this one. I didn't really enjoy that World Series very much. I remember my Red Sox. They weren't really good that year. That was where you had the Yankees. They traded for Bobby Abreu that year, and they had the Boston Massacre of a series, and then my Red Sox were just completely out of it. So I'll go D, bottom tier for that World Series. Hey, we're back to my Red Sox again, 2007. Honestly, it wasn't a good World Series. There was no more mystique of that curse breaker, World Series that they had in 2004. That was gone. This was kind of the series that established the Red Sox as a powerhouse. They were a really good team in 2007. But overall, this was not a great series. Curt Schilling pitched well in Boston. Close game 2. I remember game 2. I was in my senior year of high school. I had to go to senior night that year, or what was it, senior night, or was like college night or something. I remember I was so mad and I couldn't watch this game. Or like I was keeping track of it any way I could, but I didn't get home until the end. So that I always remember that about game 2. But the Red Sox blew them out in game 1. Dustin Pedroia had the leadoff home run in this World Series. Josh Beckett, this whole postseason, Josh Beckett was the man. He was the man. He had 2 starts against the Indians. He was just dominant, absolutely dominant. That first round against the Angels, dominant. Manny Ramirez had the walk-off home run against the Angels. That was awesome. One of my favorite home runs of all time. Curt Schilling ended up being his last start as a Red Sox. I always loved Curt Schilling. Papelbon was just locked down. He had 3 straight saves. Daisuke had the start in game 4. No, sorry, take that back. Game 3. Had the start in game 3. Oh, yeah! I had homecoming on this night. Game 3. I had the homecoming dance that night. It was my senior year of high school. And I remember I got home as soon as I could so I could watch it. John Lester, this is when he came back from cancer that year. Or he came back, I think, the year before. Did he come back in 2007? I think he came back in 2007 that year. Or did he come back into? Yeah, 2007 he came back, and that was a big win for him. That was a pretty an emotional win for him. That was pretty awesome. But overall, this was not a good World Series. I'm gonna go D. 2006, 2007, not great World Series overall. The Rockies were kind of like that weird team where, when you think back on it, you're like, wow, the Rockies made the World Series, and but they had like just that amazing. I think they won like 21 out of like 22 games or something like that. They were like one of the hottest teams of all time in that last stretch, in that last month. They were incredible. They had the 1-game playoff against the Padres. Insanely hot team. Matt Holliday was just a beast. I mean, Ubaldo Jimenez was awesome. That was when he first started to really come onto the scene. But overall, it just wasn't a great World Series. But that was kind of the story of that World Series, was where the Red Sox really established themselves. 2008, that was a painful one. Painful one because my Red Sox got beat by the Rays in Game 7 in the ALCS. The Red Sox traded away Manny Ramirez that year. it was just a weird year as a Red Sox fan, but they made it all the way to Game 7. But that Rays team was just, they came out of nowhere. They completely just turned around their franchise that year. Incredible. That Rays team, let me actually go back to that Rays team. The Rays, they won the division that year. If you go back to 2007, they had one of the biggest turnarounds ever in Major League Baseball history. They were 66-96 in 2007, and that was even with Joe Madden. And then, but they turned it around completely. Won 31 more games than they did in 2007. This was a good Rays team, a very good team. You had some just awesome players. Evan Longoria came onto the scene that year. James Shields was really good. Remember Scott Kazmir? Matt Garza was huge for them. You had guys like B.J. Upton, Carl Crawford. Man, just incredible. Oh my God, J.P. Howe. Look at Deanna Navarro. I forgot about him. Look at Grant Balfour, Carlos Pena. Man, this is a good Rays team. I would say probably the most memorable player to me, I'd probably say Evan Longoria, because I think this is his rookie season. Was that his rookie season? Yeah, it was his rookie season. He won Rookie of the Year. So this was a good Rays team, but that Phillies team was just also really good. That was a really good Phillies team. Taking a look back at some of these players. Remember Chase Utley? Remember Jimmy Rollins? Remember Cole Hamels? Cole Hamels was nasty in that postseason. Shane Victorino, Jason Worth. Look at Jamie Moyer. Brad Lidge turned his career around in this series, or in this playoffs. Like, he kind of put himself back onto the map. It looked like he was done after 2005. He was pretty bad the next couple of seasons. And then actually, let me go pull up his profile here. So with Houston, 2005, back on track a little bit. Am I lagging here, everyone? I'm seeing some lag on my end. I think we're good. So Lidge was better in 2007, and then but 2008 he got himself back on track. He had 41 saves that year. I believe he regained the role of closer in 2007, if my memory serves me right. I don't know. But this is a good Phillies team. These are two good teams. I thought this series was going to be a lot closer than it was. But the Rays, you know, they were just such an energetic team, and then they just got flat out beat. They ran into Cole Hamels, the NLCS MVP that year, and the World Series MVP. Matt Garza, he was insane in these playoffs. Matt Garza was awesome. But overall, the Phillies, they were just a better team in this series. They just matched up really well against this Rays team. I think they had just more veteran guys that were just ready to compete in this. It was kind of a weird World Series. It was the Rays and the Phillies. You know, the Phillies I could see being there, but it was weird seeing the Rays in the World Series because it was the first time that franchise ever made it, and they were just so bad for years. And so it was a weird-looking World Series. It was not a great series overall. You did have some pretty close games. Game 3 was pretty close. I mean, you know, let me actually recap some of these games. Cole Hamels, he was just so good. He was so good. Going back here. The Phillies had a 3-0 lead early on. The Rays chipped away, but they just couldn't get it done. Brad Lidge came on and closed it out. Let's go to Game 3. Taking a look. So, the Phillies did have a walk-off. That's right. They did have a walk-off here. So let me go to the bottom of the 9th. It was a wild pitch. That's right. Grant Balfour had the wild pitch. Yes. Man, oh my God. Oh, good grief. Let me go here. So yeah, you had the wild pitch, because I remember that was big, because it advanced the runners. And then, so yes, that's when he intentionally walked Shane Victorino. And then, yeah, Carlos Ruiz. That's right. He had the base hit. Or he had it was a ground, or was it an error? Did they count that as an error? I'd have to go back and rewatch that. I can't fully remember it, but that did win the game. Going back here, let's go to Game 4 was a blowout. And then let me go back to Game 5. So the Phillies, they basically took the lead and never looked back in the bottom of the 7th. Let me go back to that bottom of the 7th. Yeah, Pedro Feliz had the base hit that scored Bruntlet, and that was it. So not an entertaining World Series, I would say. Overall, I'll give that a D as well. Man, we got 3 straight World Series as a D. So, I mean, he did have some close games, but I would say nothing really memorable. Nothing incredibly memorable to me. So, but yeah. Let's go to 2009. This one was interesting. You had the Phillies. They made it back to the World Series that year. They did make it back. It was a 6-game series. These were 2 good teams. The Yankees were just too good. They were too good that year. Let me go back here. The one thing that I will always remember about this World Series was Pedro Martinez. I will always remember Pedro as a Philly. It was just weird to me, but it was so weird seeing Pedro as a Philly in the World Series in Yankee Stadium. It was just so weird to me. And I believe, was that game 5? That was game 2. I remember he didn't pitch too bad. Pedro was pretty much at the end of his rope. He relied completely on the movement of his pitches. His velocity just wasn't really there anymore. He was throwing like 89, 90 miles an hour. He wasn't the Pedro that we all remembered, but he kind of reinvented himself a little bit. He actually signed with the Phillies late that season. But this was the Yankee team where in the offseason, they signed CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, and Mark Teixeira. They just spent all the money. You could say they bought themselves this World Series. Cliff Lee was good. He was very good. He won both of his starts. But the Yankees, in the end, they were just too good. Remember Jabba Chamberlain? Remember that? Jabba Chamberlain on those Yankees. Let's actually go here to the stats. The Yankees in this series. Who won MVP? Who was the MVP for the Yankees? I don't want to look at the stats. I just said this the other night, too, on another stream. Oh, no. Who was the MVP of this series? I can't remember. Who did I say it was the other night and it was wrong? Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. Who did I say the other night? I don't remember who I said the other night. Was it Nick Swisher? No, it was Hideki Matsui. There it is. Yes, it was Hideki Matsui. Yes, someone told me that in the chat the other night. I remembered. Yeah, Hideki Matsui hit .615 in this series. He was insane. Holy cow, he went 8 for 13. He had 3 home runs. Derek Jeter hit .407. Johnny Damon, he went to the Yankees. I forgot to mention that in 2006. That was when Johnny Damon, he went to the Evil Empire. Remember how big of a story that was when Johnny Damon went to the Yankees? Man, oh man. Jorge Posada was all right. Alex Rodriguez, he was really good in the championship series against, who did the Yankees play in the championship series? Was it the Angels? I think it was the Angels, right? Yeah, it was the Angels. Yeah, A-Rod was good in this series, I believe. I think he got the MVP. Yeah, I think he got the MVP this series. So, yeah. Was it the MVP? Just making sure. No, it was CC Sabathia. Really? A-Rod didn't get the MVP? Well, Sabathia was really good. But I think this is where A-Rod, he turned his career around. Or at least in the playoffs. He wasn't having a lot of playoff success. Well, let me go here to the pitching. That's right. Sabathia was locked down. He had 16 innings, only 2 earned runs. Yeah, I can see why Sabathia would get it. I'm kind of surprised A-Rod didn't get it, though. A-Rod was really good. 429, 9 for 21 in this series, 3 home runs. He was really good. Wow. I think you could have maybe given him both. So, but this series, I would say this is actually a pretty... I remember this series. I remember I still see Jimmy Rollins grounding out for the final out. And then Robinson Cano throwing it to first. And I believe that's what happened. I could be wrong. If my memory serves me right, I think that's what happened. But let me go to game 6. I mean, it was pretty much... The Yankees were just too good. They were just too good. They just spent all the money. Yes, it was a Shane Victorino ground out. So, but overall, I'll give this one... I mean, Cliff Lee was really good. Hideki Matsui was out of his mind. It's pretty cool seeing Andy Pettitte. Cole Hamels, he wasn't able to really come through in this series. Let me go to the Phillies. How did they do? Carlos Ruiz was pretty good. But yeah, it just didn't seem like a lot of these guys really... Chase Utley had 5 home runs. Who remembers that? Chase Utley had 5 home runs in this World Series. I forgot about that. Wow. He would have won MVP. But yeah, they had some guys stepping up, but when you're seeing these low batting averages, that's just not going to get it done. But let's look at the pitching, actually. The pitching in this World Series, Sabathia was just really good. Pettitte had a 5.40 ERA, but he won both of his starts. AJ Burnett came through with a good start. Burnett, I remember, got rocked around a little bit that season. He was kind of up and down at times. For the Phillies, Cliff Lee, he did win both of his starts. Pedro, I feel like they just didn't have enough pitching. They did not have enough pitching. They had not enough starting pitching. Cole Hamels got rocked. I remember that. But yeah, overall, I'll say, I mean, this was the Yankees' first World Series since 2000. So there were, the fact that I still remember this series says something to me. I'll give it a B. I'll go B. You know, because overall, I would say it's a better series than 2004 and 2005. Those were more storyline series. But this was, I think, a pretty decent series. Maybe you could say a C, possibly. I'd say maybe a C or a B. Maybe C plus. I'll give it a B. I'll give 2009 a B. Here we go. We're into the 2010s. We're 40 minutes in, I believe, or maybe a little under an hour or so. 2010. This was it the Giants and the Rangers? Yeah. So it was a 4-1 series win for the Giants. Tim Lincecum. Awesome. Loved me some Tim Lincecum that year. Madison Bumgarner. Hey, this was when kind of Madison Bumgarner started to come onto the scene, man. He was awesome. So he had himself a ridiculous start. 8 innings. Didn't give up any runs. Tim Lincecum, though, man. He was so good. I love Tim Lincecum. That was one of my favorite pitchers. Overall, I don't think it was a great series from what I remember. Didn't Edgar Renteria have the game-winning home run in this? I believe he did. One of my favorite pitchers of all time, Brian Wilson. I just love me some Brian Wilson, man. This guy was such a good closer. He was so entertaining, though. He was one of the funniest guys, man. Brian Wilson. I will forever love Brian Wilson. But I would say this is probably not a great series. You know, 4-run win here, 9-0 here in game 2, 4-0 here. You know, Rangers won here in game 3. Colby Lewis, I remember, had a good start there. Matt Cain was good. The Giants just had some really good pitching in this series. Matt Cain was good. Bumgarner, Lincecum, Brian Wilson was good out of the bullpen. You know, I mean, overall, the Giants pitching really stepped up for them. The Texas Rangers. Oh, yeah, they had Cliff Lee. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they got Cliff Lee. Colby Lewis, CJ Wilson. I forgot about him. Yeah, I feel like they just didn't have enough pitching. I mean, the Giants offense really stepped up. Let me go to the Giants offensive stats. Yeah, Renteria was really good. Did he win the MVP? No, it was one of their pitchers, wasn't it? It was Lincecum, wasn't it? No, it was Edgar Renteria. That's right. He was really good. Yeah, he had the game-winning hit. Or he had the series-winning hit. Or the home run. I called that home run. I remember I was watching it. I was in my college apartment at the time. It was my first year going away to college. And I remember watching it, and Edgar Renteria was up. And I remember thinking, hey, look at Edgar Renteria. He's in a spot just like he was with the Marlins back in 97. And he came through yet again. Edgar Renteria, man. Pretty good. Pretty good. I still remember that. Who did he hit that home run off of? Was it off of Neftali Feliz? Let me go here. Bottom or top of... Wasn't it the... It was the top of the 7th. That's right. Oh, it was off of Cliff Lee. So yeah, it was a 3-run shot. Oh yeah, it was scoreless at the time. I remember that. Wow. But yeah, overall, I would say this is probably not a great World Series. It just wasn't really eventful. But the Giants, hey, They won. They were all about those even championship years. So you gotta love the Giants, man. So 2010 though, I'll give it a D. I don't think it's really a memorable World Series. 2011. Let's start getting back to the top of this list now. 2011, man. What a series. The Rangers making it back. St. Louis Cardinals made it back for the first time since 2006. Oh, man. This was a heck of a World Series. Incredible. David Freese, I will always remember that. I will always remember that. Just that home run in Game 6, the walk-off. You had some... Oh, we got a super chat coming in. Chad Dub, what's going on? 04 cards just happened to be there. 06 finally won, but 11 in 11 was the best, I say, as a Cardinals fan. Prayed for that win in Game 6. Joe Buck's iconic statement too. Good old Joe Buck in these World Series. Thank you so much, Chad Dub. I also like the touch. 11-11. I may make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish for your Cardinals to win in 2022. Chad Dub, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. What a World Series this was. You had a lot of close games. I mean, look at this. One-run game in Game 1. One-run game in Game 2. Cardinals blowing them out in Game 3. Rangers, hey, making it happen here in Game 4. Making it happen in Game 5. And then St. Louis Cardinals, a must-win situation. The Rangers were one strike away from winning a World Series on 2 separate times, if I fully remember that. Man, just incredible. You got to go to Game 6. You got to go to Game 6. This was the game. This was the game. Let's just go recap this game. So Josh Hamilton had the base hit to get things started for the Rangers. Then Lance Berkman had the home run to give the Cardinals the lead. And then Ian Kinsler had the double, so that tied it. And then Mike Napoli sighting in the fourth had the base hit that made it 3-2. Yadier Molina had the ground out that tied it in the bottom of the fourth. Michael Young had the double that made it 4-3. What a back and forth game. Yadier Molina had the walk, and that tied it. Top of the seventh, Adrian Beltre had the home run. And then Nelson Cruz had the home run as well. So those are the back-to-back home runs off of Lance Lynn. So I do remember that. Ian Kinsler had the base hit. They made it 7-4. So the Rangers were in complete control. I remember that. I remember hearing it sounded like the announcers were just like, oh man, the Rangers are closing in. Also, I'm leaving out an important detail of that entire season. That was the season with game 162, where the Cardinals, I think they got in game 162 because the Braves choked. My Red Sox choked. Everything was miserable that year. I hated 2011. Oh my God. That was the year the Red Sox were supposed to be the best team ever. Ugh, kill me. Anyway, but it was 7-4. Alan Craig had the home run there in the bottom of the eighth. That made it 7-5. And then the bottom of the ninth. Yes, David Freese with the triple. That scored 2. And then oh yeah, that's right. Josh Hamilton had the home run. That's right, in the top of the 10th off of Jason Mott. That was when you're thinking, all right, the Rangers, they got to win this now. They got to win it now. And then they just kept coming back. Lance Berkman with the base hit to tie it back up in the 10th. And then David Freese. This is probably one of the best games of all time. Insane. Oh, Nathan, no. Don't tell me about the beard and chicken. No, Nathan. Oh, horrible memories. 2011, man. What a World Series. You just had so many good moments. You had close games. S tier. 2011, man. That David Freese was out of his mind. It was so good, man. What a game. I think Game 6 alone, I think you could say is the best game of all time. I think in any game. I think. Easily. Here we go. 2012. We're going back to the Giants. They like to win on even years. The Giants over the Tigers. Again, the Giants, they like to win them. But, they're they're not the most exciting World Series, I would say, overall. At least the first couple. 2012 4-game sweep over the Tigers. This was when Barry Zito, that was a bad contract overall, but Barry Zito really came through. He came through for the Giants. That was one of the worst contracts of all time when he signed that long-term deal, I believe in 2007. Not good. Easily one of the worst contracts of all time. But you give him some credit. He came up big for the Giants, and you got to give him credit there. So I'm glad Barry Zito was able to have a good start. Lincecum had 2 games out of the bullpen. I think Lincecum actually kind of struggled in 2012. That's right. Yeah, he wasn't very good in 2012. He had 5.18 ERA, 4.17 FIP. Yeah, that's when Lincecum started to kind of fall off. And, but they were able to find a way to use him well. Overall, though, I would just say that Sergio Romo had the fastball to strike out Miguel Cabrera. Got a fastball right down the middle. So, overall, I mean, you got to go D. It just wasn't a good World Series overall. But for the Giants, hey, 2 World Series in the last, 3 seasons. You got to love it. Hey, 2013, we're back to my Red Sox. Sorry, Cardinals fans. You had 2011 and you had 2006. But 2013, hey, a rematch of the 2004 World Series. I actually thought this was a pretty fun World Series. I would say the championship series against the Tigers was more entertaining because you had the David Ortiz grand slam. You had the Shane Victorino game-winning home run in the bottom of the 7th, I believe he hit that. But I'd say overall it was a good World Series. You had Koji Uehara was awesome that year for the Red Sox, and he had the pickoff to end the game against the Cardinals in St. Louis. It was a fun World Series. It was fun. David Ortiz was out of his mind in this World Series. This team for the Red Sox that year, it was so fun. It was such a fun year. And you had the Boston Marathon incident that year. That was tough. But I love that this team came together. I would say 2004 was my favorite team. 2013, I would say my second. They had the Beards that year. But the Cardinals, hey, they were a pretty good team that year as well. Let me actually pull up the Cardinals from that year. 97 and 65, won the Central. They had some really good players. Overall, Matt Carpenter was really good that year. Wainwright, Molina, you have Shelby Miller. Who remembers Joe Kelly? I still remember Joe Kelly and who was the guy on the Dodgers? They were having the standoff in the championship series. What was his name? Scott Van something? I can't remember his name. But they were having that hilarious standoff when they were doing the national anthem or whatever. What was his name? Him and Scott Van Slyke? Was that what it was? But Alan Craig was fun. Matt Holliday. Don't forget Carlos Beltran. There's some pretty memorable players on this Cardinals team. I believe Michael Wacha was good this year. Michael Wacha. Where is Michael Wacha? Yeah, he was pretty good. I think was he a rookie that year? I believe he was a rookie in 2013. Yeah, he was good that year. And he was pitching in the World Series. Who would have thought? But overall, it was the Cardinals, they won game 3. That was when they had the play at third. There was the play, he tried throwing over to third, and then it got by him, and then they scored to win, I believe, was how that game ended. Again, my memory is a potato at times. How did that? Yeah, so it was he threw to third, right? I don't fully remember how that was. I do remember it was an error. I remember it got by him. Fielder's choice, second. He was out. Because I think the ball got by Will Middlebrooks on that play. And then it went into the outfield, and then the Cardinals scored. And that was depressing. Very depressing. But then Koji Uehara, he was able to, get it, kind of get that back. I believe that was game 5 when he had the pickoff to end the game, right? Didn't he? What was that? Was that game 5 or was that game 4? I think that might have been game 4. Yeah, he picked off Colton Wong. That's right. Yep. So that was kind of nice. Like, 'cause I remember when the Cardinals won that game on that wacky walk-off, because I think they took a 2-1 lead. Yeah, they took a 2-1 series lead after that. I remember I was like, oh my God, I am depressed. But then they were able to get that back and tie the series, and the Red Sox won the next couple. Game 5. Let me go back to Game 5. That was still in St. Louis. And yeah, John Lester, he was really good that postseason. Really good. Koji Uehara was just, you couldn't hit this guy. You could not hit Koji Uehara. He was out of his mind. He was insane. Adam Wainwright was good. But overall though, let me go to the scoring plays in this one. Here we go. Yeah, Matt Holliday had the home run in the bottom of the 4th. David Ross. David Ross came up with some big hits in his career. He had one for the Red Sox and had one for the Cubs. Remember that Game 7 home run that he had? David Ortiz was so nasty in this World Series. He was hitting everything. Let me actually go to Game 6. I remember Stephen Drew came up. Stephen Drew, they brought him in to be their shortstop. Didn't really do much that season, but he came up big for them in this game, had a home run. John Lackey pitched this game. John Lackey, who remembers John Lackey as a Boston Red Sox? But Jacoby Ellsbury was really good. So he went 2 for 4 that game. Yeah, Shane Victorino, he was really good too. Let me actually go to the scoring plays. Yeah, Shane Victorino, man. He was so good, man. So good. We loved Shane Victorino that year. What I loved about that team, these guys were like kind of like cast-offs, from their old teams. Johnny Gomes, Shane Victorino, Mike Napoli. They brought these guys in, and they all just came together, man, and they just played out of their minds. They played together. Overall, I think this was a pretty fun World Series. You had that wacky walk-off with the Cardinals with the throwing error. You had the pickoff to end the game. David Ortiz was out of his mind. I'll give 2013. I'll go B. I'll give it a B. I think it was a good World Series. So, Colt Rug, what's going on? Yes, Emmanuel Garcia. Yes, John Lackey on the Cubs. John Lackey's a winner, man. On the Angels, on the Cubs, on the Red Sox. Colt Rug, hello. Can't stay for long. Early morning. Wanted to say thanks for streaming. Have a good night. Colt Rug, man. Have yourself a good night, my friend. Here we go. 2014. We're moving along here. 2014. Let's pull this up. Where are we? 2014. Okay. Yes. 2014 was the Giants and the Royals, 7 games. This was the legend of Madison Bumgarner. He was so good. Madison, yes, that's right. He came on for the save in Game 7 there. Kansas City, man, this was depressing for them. Man, I felt for them, man, in this World Series, because that was a good Kansas City team that year. They were kind of like the Rays, where they finally turned it around, and they finally started to win. But this was a good World Series, back and forth. Giants winning Game 1. Madison Bumgarner was awesome. The Royals winning in Game 2 and Game 3. Giants blowing them out in Game 4. Bumgarner shutting them down in Game 5. The Royals pounding him in Game 6. And then Bumgarner coming back on again. I think he was on 2 days rest. 3 days rest. 27th, 28th. He was basically on 3 days rest, and he came out. I think he pitched, what, was it 5 innings out of the bullpen? Was it 5 innings for them? Yeah, it was 5 innings out of the bullpen. He was nasty. This World Series, the one thing I will always remember about this World Series was Madison Bumgarner. This guy, he was insane. Just a legend. Just incredible. What a series this was. It was a fun series, and it was a fun Game 7. That Game 7, I remember, was a nail-biter. Funny enough, both of these teams, neither team won 90 games. I remember that was a bit of a storyline. Neither team won 90 games, and they were kind of focusing on how they just had postseason. They just turned it on when it mattered most in the postseason. But going over here now. Going over to... Are we on game 7? Here we go. So let's go to the scoring plays. So... Mike Morse got it started, giving the Giants 1-0 lead. And then I think Hunter Pence actually did pretty good in this. Oh, yeah, and then Pablo Sandoval, too. I can't forget about Pablo Sandoval. He was great. Pablo Sandoval, this was when he was good. And then, remember, he got the big contract with the Red Sox, I believe the year after, in 2015. Was that 2015? I think so. I can't remember if Sandoval was 2015 or 2016. But Brandon Crawford made it 2-0 there. And then the Royals, they battled back. Alex Gordon was really good. Alex Gordon. Don't forget about Alex Gordon. He had the big hit later on in the game. It was the double, right? He had the double, and it got by the outfielder, and then he was able to go to third, and there was no outs, I believe. Oh, man. Omar Infante tied the game. So it was a tie game. Mike Morse gave the Giants the lead back in the 4th. And then it was scoreless all the way. And then, Alex Gordon, or it was just a single, but it got by him, and he was able to go all the way to third. But there were 2 outs. There were 2 outs, I believe, right? There were 2 outs, and then that gave them a chance. But then got Salvador Perez to pop out to Pablo Sandoval. So that was a great game 7. Great game 7. It would have been awesome if the Royals were able to come through, maybe send it to extra innings. That could have been legendary. But overall, Madison Bumgarner, Pablo Sandoval, they were awesome. Let me go back to the series stats. Taking a look here. I believe Sandoval did really good. Yeah, hit .429 in that series. He was 12 for 28. Incredible. Brandon Belt was good. Crawford. Morse was all right. Hunter Pence was awesome. 12 for 27. Insane. 5 RBIs in that series. I think Bumgarner got the MVP, right? Yeah, Bumgarner got the MVP. He was just so good in that postseason. He was incredible. I would say... Oof. This is kind of a tough one. Is this S tier or is this A? Or is it A? I would say A because it was a really good World Series. But then that makes me think, should we drop 2003 down to a B? I think I might drop 2003 down to a B. I'm going to go 2003 as a B, and I'll go 2014 as an A. Because I don't think 2003 is on the same level as 2014. So I'll go A for that one. There wasn't really Madison Bumgarner, I think, was the story. There wasn't like that 2011 moment or like that one memorable moment. You know what I mean? Where it elevates it to, an A tier. But then I also wonder, is 2002 maybe an A? I actually might drop 2002 down to an A. I think these were really good World Series, but I feel like 2001 and 2011 were they had those moments that pushed them over the edge. I'm going to do this. That's what I'm going to do. 2014, 2002, I'm going to make those an A. 2001, 2011, I'm going to go S. I'm okay with that. Sorry, if you disagree with that, I'm sorry I made you sad. Here we go. 2015, we got 7 left. Here we go. 2015. Oh, wait, no. Was that 2015 that we just did? No, that was 2014. So, let's go to 2015. We had the Royals and the Mets. Not a great World Series. I remember this. The Mets were kind of the story coming into this because you had all that young starting pitching, and it's the Mets finally making it back to a World Series for the first time since 2000. So for the Mets, I just think, you had these young guys, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, but I was happy for the Royals. I remember just being really happy for them. Overall, Salvador Perez was really good. Moustakas was good in that series. Ben Zobrist, he was with the Royals before he went to the Cubs. So, Lorenzo Cain, Alcides Escobar, they did okay. Not really anything amazing. Alex Gordon. Was this Alex Gordon's last year? Or was it like it was getting close to the end of his career, right? Let me pull him up. Oh no, what am I thinking? No. This is kind of his like last good year. He was pretty good that year. So he was an all-star. But really good on base guy. I guess he was all right back in 2019. Never mind. But 2015, I just don't remember a lot. I remember Johnny Cueto being on the Royals. I remember that. I remember he was kind of a big deal. He was like stepping up his game a lot. He was really good in this series. He was really good. Taking a look at him. Edison Volquez was good too. Him and Johnny Cueto really stepped it up. Chris Young was good. They had pitching step up, and their bullpen was really good too. Wade Davis was awesome. Yeah, gotta love it. This Royals team, they just finally put it together. They just had a really good team. And the Mets, they were kind of a disappointing team, but you were excited for the future. And then they just never really got it back together. But they had some young starting pitching that you were really excited about. And they had Yoenis Cespedes. Don't forget about that. He really helped turn that team around, especially offensively, in that second half. So he didn't really do much in this World Series, though. He actually only batted 150. So not a lot going on for the Mets in this series offensively. I mean, Michael Conforto was their best hitter, 15 at-bats, 333. Curtis Granderson, he was okay. You had Lucas Duda. But for the Royals, they really came up with the bats. You know, Perez, Moustakas, they just came up when it mattered most. You know, Escobar, Cain had 4 RBIs each. Gordon had 3 RBIs. Perez and Moustakas were good. Who was the MVP? Was it Ben Zobrist? Or was it... Who was the MVP of this series? Was it Cueto? Oh, no, it was Perez. It was Salvador Perez. That's right. Yeah, that's deserved. That's deserved. He had the highest batting average in the series. Yeah, so overall, not a great World Series, though. I think the Mets being in it really helped just because, you know, they're the Mets. You know, every time the Mets are always front page news. They're always front page news. I don't know. I'll go C. I think just because I remember getting kind of hyped up for it because I wanted the Royals to win. That was one thing. I really wanted them to they didn't get it done in 2015. They were so close. And then I just wanted them to get it done that year. And hey, to me, that was fun. I'm pretty sure Giraffe Neck Mark is still crying himself to sleep over this World Series. Oh yeah, David Wright, Nexus Eagles. David Wright, like, what did he do in this series? He didn't really do much. David Wright had a pretty good year that year, didn't he? Yeah, he hit 289, 379 average. Oh, he only had played 38 games that year. That's right. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, because that's when he started getting hurt. And he just wasn't able to stay on the field. So, Nexus Eagles, Game 3. I'm having trouble fully remembering this series. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's coming back to me now. It's coming back to me. Had the home run. Yes. Okay. I remember that now. But yeah, overall, though, just a good Royals team. Just a really good Royals team that year. But moving on. We got 2016. Let's go to 2016, shall we? Let's move on. 2016. Okay. I mean, what else is there to say? What else is there to say about this World Series? It was great. I would, out of a complete series, I would probably put 2001 ahead of it. I just really like that 2001 World Series. 2016 was good, though. 2016 was really good. That Game 7, one of the best Game 7s in sports history. Incredible. But the fact that you had the 108-year drought for the Chicago Cubs, combined with an amazing Game 7, you had John Lester, Jake Arrieta, both pitching well. John Lester got knocked around in Game 1 a little bit, but he stepped up when it mattered most. I remember Chapman. You could just tell this guy was starting to tire out because he put that Cubs bullpen on their back. That Cubs bullpen was really bad before they got him. I believe, if my memory serves me right, I think they were 25th in the bullpen rankings. And when they got him, they were 12th after that. But the bullpen started to be shaky, towards the end here, and they just hung on. What an incredible Game 7 this was. This was kind of, when you think back to this World Series, this was kind of it. This was it. I'll go take a look at Game 5 as well. But Game 7, just incredible. You had the Rajai Davis home run that tied it. Just insane. I remember I was at a Mexican restaurant watching this game. I was eating myself some nice tortilla chips with some salsa. Got myself a burrito. I was quite happy. I was a happy boy eating some Mexican food. And I remember just watching this game. You had the rain delay for 17 minutes. Jason Hayward had the infamous team meeting with the Cubs to keep their minds focused. You had Kyle Schwarber lead off the inning. Pinch runner for him. Moved over on the Chris Bryant sacrifice fly. Kyle Schwarber. Come on, brain. Work with me. And then you had Ben Zobrist. Ben Zobrist got the go-ahead hit. And then you had Miguel Montero with the insurance run. And in the end, the Cubs were still making it interesting there. Rajai Davis was just insane. He became like a superstar in this series, despite the loss. But the story of this was just breaking the curse. It was breaking the curse. Game 5. Let me go back to Game 5. Game 5. Because don't forget, because the Cubs were down 3-1 in this series. The Indians blew a 3-1 lead. So, Game 5 here. Yeah, Cubs jumped out, or the Indians got the lead first. Cubs battled back, and they just held on to it. And they had a really good performance from Lester. Trevor Bauer pitched that game. But yeah, Lester really stepped up for them. That was a big-time performance from him. So, you got to love it. John Lester, I was so happy that he was able to win one with the Cubs. Really love that. But, I would say it's not the best World Series of all time, but it was a really good one. Overall, you had the story of them breaking the curse. You had that amazing Game 7. Oh, Super Chat, it's your boy. What's going on? One of my favorite World Series was 2019 Nationals. The story of them being the underdogs and beating the powerful Astros. Also, Howie's dink foul ball pole homer to win, I think, could be at least a B in my opinion. Absolutely. We'll get to the Nationals here in a second. That was a good one. Overall, this World Series, it's one of the best of all time. I wouldn't say it had all of the dramatics that the 2011 Game 6 was just one of the best games of all time. 2001, you had the Diamondbacks, just this out of nowhere team with amazing pitching performances. The walk-off against one of the best closers of all time in Mariano Rivera. A very good Game 7 that was. 2016 was good. I would say it's top 3. It's top 3. It's debatable on where you want to put it, but I'll go S tier for 2016. We are down to 5. 2017. This was the year the Astros arrived. I really thought I thought the Dodgers were going to win this one. I thought they were. I mean, it was revealed there was some cheat eliting going on with the Houston Astros. But overall, it was a really good series. The Astros, I mean, yes, trash cans, yes. The trash tros. I'm sorry, Astros fans. I'm sorry. But the Astros in this series, despite the cheating, it was insane watching this Astros team. This was a really good World Series. You had 2 extra innings wins. I'm going to not look at the cheating here. I'm not going to factor in the cheating. I'm just going to look at the World Series as a whole. You had a close game. Kershaw really pitched well in game 1. You had the extra inning Astros win. Let me close out some of these tabs. Here we go. So going to that game 2, you had Astros scoring 2 in the 11th. The Dodgers battled back in the bottom of the 11th. They just weren't able to get it done. So let me actually go here. I need to refresh my brain. George Springer had the home run that gave them the lead. So, and then Charlie Culberson had the home run himself. It just wasn't enough. So that was a memorable game too. Astros taking the lead in game 3. Dodgers tying it back up in game 4. A wild game 5 in Houston. Wild. Insane. What a game. Astros with the walk-off in the 13th. Or in the 10th, sorry. And they won 13-12. Yeah, Kenley Jansen. Kenley Jansen, one of the many times he blew a game. Bregman with the base hit to win the game. Incredible. This was a really good World Series, I would say. I think people at the time were calling this one of the best World Series of all time. Game 7 wasn't very memorable. Charlie Morton, this was where big game Charlie Morton kind of emerged for the Astros. And just emerged in his career. It was just a back and forth World Series. You had some dramatics. The Astros were just a really relentless team. But I think when you look back on it, I would say at the time you'd probably call it an S tier. But looking back on it, it's kind of gotten tarnished. It's got to drop down to an A. You can even say it drops down to a B just because of the cheating. I'm still just going to look at the series as a whole, just as it was. I remember it was a memorable one, and I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A, but definitely the cheating scandal really put a damper on it. So I'll just put it as an A for now, just based off of the entertainment of that series. 2018. Hey, the Dodgers making it back for the second straight year against my Red Sox. I'm quite privileged to have my Red Sox appear on this stream so many times. But 2018, this was the year the Red Sox, they were just, what a team. What a team. This was one of the best teams of all time. That 2018 Red Sox team, man. Just insane. Just insane. Oh my God. Like, this team was nuts. I just want to go take a look at this team. This was pretty much over. This Red Sox team was too good. They were too good. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be Giraffe Neck Robbie here, but they were just too good, man. They just pummeled the Yankees in that first round. Pummeled the Astros in the championship series. I was actually really worried about that championship series with the Astros. I was worried going into it, but then we just beat them. I just couldn't believe it. This Red Sox team was just so good. And that Yankee series, that game 4 in Yankee Stadium, oh my God. Craig Kimbrell almost giving me a heart attack. It just killed me. Craig Kimbrell almost killed me. But that team, Mookie Betts winning the MVP that year. Chris Sale was just nasty. JD Martinez in his first year with the Red Sox, incredible. Xander Bogaerts was good. Andrew Benintendi had his rookie season. And I think it was 2017 he had his full rookie season. He came up in 2016. Yeah, he finished second in Rookie of the Year in 2017. He was really good in 2018. I love Benintendi that year, man. He was awesome. And he had that awesome catch against the Astros. David Price, you could say this was probably one of the worst contracts, I would say. Rick Porcello had the Cy Young in 2016, and he was effective enough. helped them win a World Series. Eduardo Rodriguez was fine. Jackie Bradley, he was the ALCS MVP. Kimbrel, I mean, he started losing it towards the end. Look at Steven Wright. Look at Hector Velasquez, man. But this Red Sox team, it was just so good. It was too good, man. Mookie Betts was just an incredible player that year. This Dodgers team, it was a good team, but it wasn't a great team. It was good, but like, you got to think their highest wins above replacement was 4.7. It was a good team, but they just didn't have enough gas. You know, they had some fun players. It was a fun team, but they just didn't have enough. Kershaw, he was good that year, and then in the playoffs, he just wasn't able to get it really done again. So taking a look at the Red Sox in this series, you know, funny enough, Mookie Betts was the MVP that year, but he was really bad in the playoffs for the most part. Benintendi was really good, but the MVP of the World Series, Steve Pearce. Gotta love me some Steve Pearce, man. 3 home runs. He was awesome. A lot of guys were stepping up for the Red Sox. Mookie Betts had a home run in that final game. But for the Dodgers, Justin Turner hit well. Hey, look at David Freese. He had 12 at-bats. Yasiel Puig was okay. But for the Red Sox, David Price, I think, is a forgotten part of that team, I think, because David Price had a lot of negatives during his Red Sox career, but he really stepped up in the postseason for them. He really stepped up. Nathan Eovaldi, I feel like more people remember Nathan Eovaldi, and this is getting to my next point here. They just had one of the most insane playoff games of all time. The 18-inning Game 3 where the Dodgers won on the walk-off. But Nathan Eovaldi made himself a legend in that game. I'm going to be honest with you. I dozed off. In this game. I was on the couch. I dozed off. I was so tired. I think it was like 2 in the morning. It was like 2 in the morning, right? When this game ended. I think it was almost 3. It was insane. I guess I couldn't stay awake. It was driving me insane. I dozed off, I think, for like 5 minutes at one point. Luckily, I was able to wake back up. But going back to that 18th inning, just, oh my God. Nathan Eovaldi was so good, but then Max Muncy had the walk-off. So that was sad, man. That stunk. That really stunk because it was such a good performance from Nathan Eovaldi. To see it end like that, but that ended up only being the only Dodger win. The Red Sox were just too good. They were just such a good team. Overall, I think with that 18-inning game, that was a pretty historic game. I'll give it a C. I don't think it's one of the worst, but I think because of that game, that's a memorable thing. So I think it's enough to give it a C overall. You wish it would have maybe went a little longer. If it went another game, it would have been a B, you know, but it was just kind of a powerhouse team, and the Dodgers needed 18 innings to win one game. So it was just a mismatch. But I'll give it a C overall. Moving on to the 2019 World Series. This is a really good one. 7 games. When we look back, you end up really liking this even more just because the Astros were, they had the whole cheating scandal, and the Nationals, at one point in the season, they were, I forget how many games under 500, but the Nationals, they came all the way back and ended up winning a wild card game, a memorable wild card game win against the Milwaukee Brewers. That was the unfortunate moment with Trent Grisham where the ball got by him. You really felt for that guy, man. But the Nationals, they rode their starting pitching until they were blue in the face. Steven Strasburg, insane. Max Scherzer, so good. But Steven Strasburg, the World Series MVP, this is where he really showed how good he was. Like, he finally put it all together, and he was just so good. But the Astros, they were no slouch. Look at the offense that they put up. Yes, I know you can say the trash can thing, but just look at what the Astros did with the bats. Insane, man. Insane. But the Nationals, hey, they held their own too. Juan Soto was really good. You had the Soto shuffle. That was fun. But Howie Kendrick was really good in that postseason. He had that memorable walk-off against the Dodgers in the first round. Adam Eaton was good. Anthony Rendon was solid. You know, he had 8 RBIs in that series. He had 8 RBIs. Juan Soto had 7. So, insane, man. Absolutely insane. But going to the pitching. This was the difference. This was the difference. Steven Strasburg was so good. 2 starts, 14 innings. Patrick Corbin was good. That was when they signed Patrick Corbin that year. Max Scherzer, he was great. I mean, these 3 guys that they just rode those guys, man. Garrett Cole, he was insane for the Astros that year. He just from June till the end of the season, Garrett Cole had one of the most dominant runs of any pitcher in history. Remember they traded for Zach Greinke? You had Justin Verlander. The Astros were the favorites in this. The Nationals were the complete underdogs. They also, don't forget the Nationals. The Nationals were the complete underdogs, but they also didn't have a great bullpen that year. And they really stepped up with the bullpen that year. So you got to give the Nationals a lot of credit. They stepped up when it mattered most. But, you know, they came all the way back in the regular season. You know, like I said, I was talking about the 2003 Marlins. The Marlins were 19-31. I believe the Nationals had the same record at one point. I believe it was around the same record. The Nationals, man, just what a season for them. It was a great series, 7-game series. Game 1 was tight, 5-4. What a matchup, Max Scherzer and Garrett Cole. What a matchup that is. But, hey, Astros battled back, but in the end, just wasn't enough to overcome the Nationals there. Let's go to game 2. Nationals blew them out. Strasburg had a great game. Astros battled back there, take a 2-1 series lead. And don't forget, they tied the series back up. Don't forget the Nationals, they had a 2-0 series lead, and then the Astros won the next 2. They actually won the next 3, I'm sorry. They won the next 3 games. So it looked like the Astros were well on their way to another World Series, and then the Nationals really came up big behind Steven Strasburg in Game 6. And then, hey, Game 7, not the most memorable game. You know, you always like it when Game 7s are close, but this was not really a close one. It was pretty... they won this one pretty handedly. But it didn't happen until late in the game. The Nationals, they scored. The Astros actually had a 2-0 lead in the 5th, after the 5th. Going into the 7th, it was 2-0, and then the Nationals just came alive. So that actually, I'll take that back. It was a bit memorable, but in the end, it just wasn't as close. But let's go back to that. So with the Astros, Correa, he got a start with a base hit off of Scherzer. And then Rendon, he made it 2-1. And then Howie Kendrick came up big, had the home run, gave him a 3-2 lead. And then Juan Soto had the base hit, made it 4-2. And then, just you got to love the Nationals, man. I mean, to me, this was kind of just how their season was. You were down for a long time, and then you just battled back, right? Against a good Astros team, man. Against a good Astros team. Overall, I'll give it an A. I don't think you really had that fully memorable moment, one that really jumps off to you. You know, it was a good World Series. It was a good, and you could maybe probably say S. I think it was really good. For me personally, it's not one that I can't think of a moment where you had like the David Freese moment in that 2011 one. With the 2016, you had that just insane Game 7, and then 2001 having the walk-off to win a World Series. You know, you didn't really have that kind of a moment. It was a really good 7-game series, but I think in the end, I'm just going to put it as an A. And then you did have the Howie Kendrick home run, but to me, I don't think of a moment. I don't think of a moment like one of these in the S tiers. That's just my opinion, though. So I could easily see someone thinking it's S. So this is just me. But 2020. Ugh. Good grief. 2020. Do I even grade this one? Can I just leave this one off? I mean, I guess we got to, right? The COVID championships. The COVID championships. Taking a look. I mean, 6-game series. When you take a look at just the series itself, I mean, I think to me, the Dodgers were finally just able to win one. They were just able to win one, and unfortunately, it had to come in a 60-game season. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like an asterisk World Series in a way, just because it's a short, it was a short season. It was a weird season, but at the end of the day, you got to give credit where it's due. The Dodgers won it. I mean, it was a good team. It was a really good team. You brought in Mookie Betts in the trade, signed him to an extension. I was happy for Kershaw. I was happy that Kershaw won one. He was able to come up big. The Rays were a good team. Taking a look at the series, Corey Seager came up big for them. Justin Turner was good. Max Muncy was good. Mookie Betts was pretty solid for the most part. He had a big game 6 there. Don't forget you had the Brett Phillips. I was right here screaming and watching the game. Brett Phillips, that just insane game 4. What a wackadoodle of a game that was. But the Rays really lived and died on the home run. Randy Arozarena was just insane in this postseason. Set the record for most home runs in a playoff, in the playoffs at that point. So, just, yeah. But with the Rays, they just weren't able to really come up big when it mattered. And except for that game 4 where they just had that just wild win. But a lot of the times they just lived and died on the home run. They only scored 1 run in game 6, 2 runs in game 5, 2 runs in game 3. It was based off of, I remember it. I remember this World Series, obviously, because it's so recent. I don't know. It's just a weird World Series to rank. Oh, we got a super chat. Vulgar Knight 297 with a 499 super chat. What's going on? 2020 World Series MVP Kevin Cash. Hey man. Hey, you gotta love it. Taking out Blake Snell. That was a big moment. A lot of people still to this day, like, what were you thinking, dude? Why would you take him out? He was pitching out of his mind in that game 6. There was no reason to take out Blake Snell. There was no reason for it. For me, I'll say C. I'll say a C. Just because of the circumstances, unfortunately. You did have a couple of good moments. I'll give it a C. And then, last but not least, the most recent World Series, the one that we just watched, 2 months ago now? 2 months ago, not even 2 months. The Atlanta Braves beating the Houston Astros. Overall, I would say this was a good World Series. I felt like it wasn't as... the games themselves were a little boring at times. You gotta love the Braves. They had the whole chop thing going on, They had guys that really stepped up. Just a really good Braves team that came on strong in the second half, and they just made a run all the way. The Astros, a lot of people thought the Astros maybe would get bounced a little earlier. A lot of people thought the Red Sox were going to win that series against the Astros. I didn't quit on the Astros at that point. I wasn't going to give up on them. But to me, in the end, I just feel like these games weren't as close. When I'm thinking of an entertaining World Series, it's not the most entertaining. There wasn't a lot of drama. Game 4, you had a 3-2 win, but there just wasn't a lot of drama in this World Series. It wasn't the most entertaining, but I'm glad the Braves won. To me, the Braves winning it for the first time since 1995, I think it was a big deal. First time, what was it? Well, how many years is that now? That was 26 years. There just wasn't a lot of big moments. There was some drama here and there, but when you think of like compared to all these other series, I don't know. I just don't really. There's not a lot of moments that compare to like these all-time moments. Jorge Soler, the home run in Game 6, that was huge. Which is not a lot of close games. Game 4 was close, 3-2. Atlanta in Game 3 winning it 2-0. Don't forget about Charlie Morton. You know, Charlie Morton unfortunately having the broken leg. Ian Anderson pitched a great game in Game Game 3. Game 1, honestly, Game 1 I thought was pretty boring. I'm looking at this as like a casual fan. Again, I'm happy for the Braves. I'm not trying to be negative about it. But really, I mean, I think we all need to maybe be a little fair. It was kind of just... It wasn't the most exciting World Series I've ever watched. It was good. I mean, I'm glad they went back and forth in these games. But when I'm thinking of moments, when I'm thinking of playoff World Series moments, there wasn't a lot in this series. You know, definitely no like S tier moments. You know, I would say I'll give it a B. I'll go B. I think it was in the middle. I think it was good. Most part, you know, both teams winning games, going back and forth. But I think in the end, it kind of lacked moments. You know, Jorge Soler's home run was huge there. But I think it was just a good series based off of the teams, you know, trading wins. But I think in the end, I give it a B. You know, I would even maybe see a C. You know, because I felt bored at times. You know, I'll go B just because, again, the teams did go back and forth. So, but that's it. That's what I got. 2001, 2011, 2016, I have as my S tier. 2014, 2002, 2017, 2019, I have as my A's. B tier, I have 2004, 2005, 2009, 2013, 2003, and 2021. And then the C tiers, we had 2000. We had, what is this? 2015, 2018, 2020. And then my D's, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2012, and 2010. So that's my list, everyone. That's my list. I want to thank you all for everyone that left me a super chat tonight. Thank you so much. Everyone that came out tonight to come and watch, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let me know down below in the comments. What do you think? Would you make any changes? Do you agree with this for the most part? Would you move any of these around? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. But everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight for Tiermaker Tuesday. Maybe I'll make this a thing every Tuesday. Tiermaker. Maybe you can do some Tiermaker on Tuesday nights or maybe Thursday nights. I don't know. But hey, we're just trying to find ways to get through this lockout right now. And hey, Tiermaker, it's going to come in handy for us. So everyone, if you can, on the way out, hit the like button for me. That's going to help get this out there for more baseball fans. And but everyone, thank you for coming out. I'll be back here tomorrow night, and we'll have something else to talk about for tomorrow night. Be on the lookout for some uploads. I definitely want to start getting some uploads this week. I am finishing up the MLB The Show Detroit Tigers rebuild. I kind of ran into some trouble. I had to kind of fix some things. I had to start back over on a couple of things. So sorry about the delay on that. That is coming. I'm hoping to get that posted tomorrow night. But everyone, I want to thank you for coming out tonight. Have yourself a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you next time, everyone.